Duke shouted, Raoul! Raoul! Where are you? Raoul said, Yes, yes. I'm here, my lord. Duke said. Edna collapsed. Raoul said, What? Oh dear. How did she? We must lay her in bed right away. She seems to have fallen asleep. Duke said, But she suddenly fainted, then fell asleep. We shouldn't take this lightly. We still don't have a doctor in the castle? Raoul said, I'm afraid so. We did send out a call to hire. But all the good doctors have already left to work in other towns, so we haven't found a suitable doctor yet. Duke said, TSK, what do you think we should do, Raoul? Raoul said, Pardon? Well, my knowledge is limited to home remedies. I think you should find an expert who knows more about medicine. Duke said, An expert, Chris. Find someone who is knowledgeable in both herbal and clinical medicine. I don't care how old, or whether they are a man or woman, as long as Edna can receive proper treatment. Chris said, Yes, my lord. Duke said, Hurry. I'm worried about her. Philly said, What, the lady collapsed? How? Philon said, Did she get hurt somehow? Chris explained, No, she wasn't injured. She's probably just exhausted. Philly said, Well, she has been working quite hard. Philon said, How's the Lord doing? Chris said, Well, he's worried about her. Both replied, The Lord is worried? I can't believe what I'm hearing. Chris said, Quit making such a fuss. Anyway, on his orders I need to find a medical clinician. Would you happen to know anyone? Philly said, I doubt any of the family members who came with our men would have such knowledge. Me and Philly used to be bandits, and the rest have similar backgrounds. Chris said, I see. I've sent people to search in town, but I heard the good doctors were either killed by bandits or left to find work elsewhere. We must find anyone we can. She may be fine for now, but she could collapse again, and then her condition might get worse. Philly said, Right. The lady won't get any rest unless an expert tells her to. Rittrell said, Hey, Chris. Chris said, Oh, Rittrell? What is it? Rittrell said, Is there a chance there are any sort of drawbacks if one were to take on such a job? Sometimes there are odd rumors about those who know too much about medicine, you know. Chris said, Drawbacks. You know the Lord and Lady would never allow such a thing to happen. Rittrell said, Yeah, you're right. I'm just worried, that's all. Chris said, Why? Do you know of someone? Rittrell said, Well, I'm telling you this because I trust you, the Lord, and even the Lady. Chris said, Rittrell said, Actually, my younger sister has studied herbal medicine. She's an expert with a vast array of knowledge. Chris said, That's perfect. We should find her, right. Rittrell said, However, Rhea, that's her name, she was constantly harassed for having such knowledge. She might be unhappy to hear I even told you about her. Try to persuade her if you think you can. I also think it's a waste of her skills just hiding away and not making use of her knowledge. Rhea usually spends the day reading or in the garden. She seems to be tending to some of the herbs Raoul planted out there. Chris thought, so he was telling the truth. Chris remembered she's always in a robe, so she should be easy to find. Chris said, Rhea, are you Rhea, Rittrell's younger sister? Rhea replied, Yes, that's me. Chris said to her, I heard you studied herbal medicine. The Lord is in urgent need of someone like you, so, she replied, I'd rather not. You must have heard a silly rumor. How could a woman ever be capable of having such knowledge? I'm a mere lass, so please find someone else. Chris said, Look, I've already heard everything from Rittrell. Why are you lying? Rhea said, Rittrell, you idiot, I have nothing else to say. I don't know anything, sorry. Chris said, Wait, stop. You're about to disobey a direct command from the Lord. Chris thought that. Is that a burned scar? Chris recalled her brother talking. Sometimes there are odd rumors about those who know too much about medicine, you know. My sister was constantly harassed for having such knowledge. Chris thought so what she went through was a witch hunt. Chris said, Oh, excuse. Rhea replied, Forget it. Don't say another word. I don't need your pity or your apology. Rittrell sent you, correct? Then you can probably guess what happened. You guessed right. I got this scar after I was accused of being a witch. That's why I refused to help you. How can any of you guarantee something like this won't happen to me again? Chris said, But The lady would never allow something like that to happen. Rhea said, never. Do you think I treated those people thinking they would later turn around and burn me? Please leave. I don't trust you, the Lord, or the lady. The Duke thought inside. I made her work too hard. I should have been more careful. They weren't just any simple tasks Edna could have handled on her own. Even if I asked Chris to assist her, I sent a woman into town by herself. I was careless. Bandits and hooligans are enough of a danger. What if she had caught the plague? Very well, I should forbid her from going into town from now on. The townspeople can come here to meet her. There's already plenty of work to do inside the castle. Traveling back and forth like that must have exhausted her. Once Edna wakes up, Edna said him. The Duke continued thinking. Have to keep her in the castle at all times. Edna said, good morning. Or wait, is it evening already? The Duke said, this is no time for a morning greeting. Edna asked, is that so? How long was I asleep for? The Duke said, not for long. Are you feeling all right? Edna said, yes, I feel fine. I must have been more tired than I realized. I fell asleep so suddenly. The Duke said, you're telling me. You could at least pay half as much attention to your own body as you do to the town. Edna said, oh well, I'm not so sure myself. I've never felt this way before. I did feel a bit tired, but not enough for this to happen. The Duke said, a bit tired? You're driving me insane. Why are you pushing yourself like this? There's no need for you to rush these things. You can take your time. Take care of your health. And Edna smiled and said, Ahihi, is this you being worried about me? It is, isn't it? The Duke said, how did I end up falling in love with a woman who worries me this much? Edna thought, Eli's in love with me. Oh my, I'm so happy. The Duke thought, what do those tears mean? The Duke said, are those tears of joy? Or perhaps, do you hate the fact that I love you so much it brought you to tears? Edna thought inside, I want to tell him that's not it, but I can't. That would mean I'd have to acknowledge my feelings for him. I must not love him. And I must not be loved by him, because Eli, looks upset. Does he think I'm rejecting him? Edna said, you and I come from different classes. That's why, the Duke said to her, classes? Haven't I told you none of that matters? It's fine even if you're not Edna. You and I already swore an oath to be husband and wife. No one can say anything about us. So don't. So, I'll wait until the day you can love me freely. Edna thought, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Eli. But you absolutely cannot love me. You have to be ready to abandon me anywhere, and at any time. Someone shouted, burns, it burns, dear prince. The burning smell and all that smoke haven't faded. The king said, that's quite enough. Foolish boy. Did I ever order you to do something like that? I wonder who you take after to be such a fool. The boy said, please, just one more, just give me one more chance, father. I can do it. I want to kill every last one of those men and women. Please, just give me one more chance. Edna thought, for some reason, ever since yesterday, I've been feeling a bit awkward whenever I see Eli. He's simply trying to be considerate. The Duke said you should rest until you've fully recovered. I'll take care of anything that needs approval for now. Edna replied, well then, if you have any questions about what's been going on, that's all right. The Duke said, I read a summary of Locke's notes. There won't be a problem. Edna continued thinking, even though Locke summarized those events, it's still only a record of what's happened. There isn't any additional information or explanation. Yet, somehow Eli understood everything. Eli, who are you? You and I, neither of us truly knows about the other. One thing's for certain though. Eli is with Caden. If the end does come, I hope you won't waver, Eli. Edna said, who are you? Rhea said, oh, I am Rittrell's sister, madam, my name is Rhea. Edna said, oh, Rittrell. Oh yes, I know. Your mother is Martha, right? She's quite skilled at embroidery. Even this dress I'm wearing was mended by her. Is that cloak also one of Martha's pieces? Rhea said, yes. Edna said, it's very lovely. Edna suddenly said, Rhea said, people have asked me to examine you. And of course I know what that means. What sort of responsibility I would need to take on, and how it might come back at me. I've already been through it once. That's why, my lady. Edna said it must have been terribly painful. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Rhea said. Why are you apologizing? Ever since that day, I have never cried once. Rhea thought I hated the world. I loathed myself for not dying. I had no time to feel sad. Rhea said, so why are you crying? Ah, now I see. All that time, I actually just wanted to feel sad. I wanted to be comforted. I wanted those people to tell me they were sorry.